Indiana Fever might be screwed, and we have to break this down with everybody being so thirsty, jumping at all of these other leagues, jumping at all of this other money alongside the WNBA CBA negotiation, which is looking to add 54, make the season 54 games. So they're trying to add 10 more games on top of what they played last season. This presents a serious scheduling conflict for the WNBA and Project B. There's going to have to start being some sort of exclusivity in these deals to where
the Indiana Fever played a risky hand, and now it looks like they might have folded at the worst time. They put their trust and loyalty inside a league that cuts fast and doesn't wait, and fans are reacting hard. A crowd favorite, Sophie Cunningham, is suddenly caught in the middle, with real talk that she could be pushed out and gone for good. This is not just about one name on the roster. It feels like a huge misstep that could crack everything the team was building around Caitlin Clark's arrival. The WNBA is moving different now, and it rewards sharp, ruthless choices. Indiana may have done the opposite, leaving fans feeling shut out and worried the franchise is drifting in the wrong direction. What makes it worse is the silence. The front office has gone quiet, and that quiet is loud. As the reality sets in, it's clear this situation is deeper than anyone expected. What started as a gamble is turning into a full-blown mess for the organization. At the heart of the issue is the WNBA's dragged-out CBA negotiations, which have frozen the entire offseason. League business is stuck, and the Fever are blocked from making the moves they need to lock in their roster and protect their core. Because of the standstill, no free agent offers can go out and no contracts can be finalized, leaving key players stuck in uncertainty. Once the pause lifts, teams will be forced into a tight window to make big decisions fast, and rush choices usually come with consequences. For a team trying to maximize new star power, this delay hits at the worst possible time.
According to a source familiar with negotiations, the WNBA is proposing an increase from 44 games to 50 to 54 games in the new CBA. The league's proposed start date for training camp is as early as mid-March, with the finals ending in November. A number of league sources expressed confusion over a potential mid-March start date, questioning how training camp could overlap with the NCAA schedule and what the expectation would be for rookies. Training camp started April 27 last season.
Another pressure point is the league's proposed schedule shift. A move to 54 games with an earlier start date could create serious conflicts. Training camp starting as early as mid-March would overlap with other commitments, including Project B, where Fever guard Kelsey Mitchell is already locked into a major deal. That clash puts players in tough spots and sets up a real roster headache for Indiana. Kelsey Mitchell's commitment to Project B is turning into a serious pressure point for the Fever.
Calendar. Now this is a problem. Kelsey Mitchell is signed with Project B. Kelsey Mitchell is not signed in the WNBA right now. Let's be clear here. So how is that supposed to work? How's that supposed to work? Are they gonna let her miss parts of Project B so she could play in the WNBA? I highly doubt it. Here says the Startup League, which plans for its inaugural season to begin November and extend through April, said this week that its Tokyo tournament stop will start March 26, 2027. Now, check this out. Here it says,
her contract with the new league is already locked in, with Project B planning a Tokyo tournament set to begin on March 26, 2027. That timeline runs straight into the WNBA's proposed March training camp start, creating a conflict that nobody can ignore. Indiana is now staring at a tough call. Do they push Mitchell to miss part of Project B, or does she honor that deal and risk missing key WNBA time? This goes beyond a simple calendar issue. It cuts into questions of loyalty, contract power, and control, all of which can fracture a locker room before the season even tips off. The league's push for more games and an earlier start also ignores a major reality: the NCAA tournament. Shifting the season into March or early April would crash directly into the Final Four, one of the biggest stages for rising stars. That window is critical for building hype and setting the stage for incoming talent, including names like Caitlin Clark, before they officially enter the league.
Project B and the WNBA seem to be on a collision course. Now, even if they don't start in March and they start the season later, Project B, they're still going to bump into Project B's schedule. How's that going to work when you got players under contract in the WNBA and signing to Project B? How's this going to work? There's going to have to start being some sort of exclusivity in these deals to where you can't play in this league. You can't play in that league. That's what it's going to have to be, or else it's just going to be a big issue. Here it says on Sports Illustrated, Indiana Fever face big decisions once WNBA CBA is done.
Risks hurting its own pipeline. The buzz around top draft classes could fade, and the league may lose a prime chance to grow its audience at the exact moment fans are paying attention. As if that wasn't enough, the upcoming expansion draft adds another layer of stress. Indiana already felt the sting last year when they lost a key piece to Golden State. This time, the rules are tighter, with teams possibly only allowed to protect 5 players. That puts even more pressure on the Fever as they fight to hold on to what they have left. With fewer protected spots on the table, the pressure on Indiana's front office is getting intense. They are being forced into brutal decisions about who stays and who gets exposed. Losing a major contributor with no real return is a tough outcome, especially when the goal is to build a serious contender around Caitlin Clark. This protection mess is where the Fever's biggest mistake comes into sharp focus. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull are widely viewed as automatic protections, which leaves just one spot left. That final slot has turned into a heated debate. Do they protect NaLyssa Smith, still on a rookie deal with upside, or do they lock in Sophie Cunningham, a fan favorite whose profile exploded alongside Clark's rapid rise? It is a choice the Fever never wanted to face, but it shows how boxed in they have become. Limited protection slots mixed with too many valuable players is a problem created by poor planning, not bad luck. Leaving Sophie Cunningham unprotected would be a massive gamble.
She will wind up back with the Fever regardless. Now, if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, you're running a risk. Because if I'm the Toronto Tempo or the Portland Fire, I'm definitely gonna sign Sophie Cunningham, and I'm definitely gonna pay her because due to her being next to Caitlin Clark, she's become a household name in the WNBA. She's going to help me maybe sell some tickets, even though she's not a max level player. She still benefits my organization, her being on the team with her brand and image being up because of Caitlin Clark. So if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, she's good as gone.
She has been open about wanting to return to Indiana, but she has also made it clear she is looking for a max-level deal and long-term stability. That means no discounts. Any expansion team like Toronto or Portland would have zero hesitation scooping her up. Cunningham's brand has grown fast, fueled by her visibility next to Caitlin Clark. She brings ticket sales, attention, and relevance. Losing her is not just about roster depth. It is about throwing away real business value tied directly to the Caitlin Clark effect. This situation is not sentimental at all. It is cold, strategic math. She is a proven contributor with real value, and her market stock has jumped fast. Failing to protect her does not just risk losing her outright. It also hands an expansion team a ready-made boost in fan interest and media coverage. That kind of mistake shows a serious misunderstanding of how player value works in the post-Caitlin Clark era. Indiana would basically be gifting a rival an advantage while still scrambling to hold their own core together. On top of that, Kelsey Mitchell's contract situation adds another layer of stress. Keeping her in Indiana likely means offering a max deal, which is a heavy financial lift. When that is combined with Sophie Cunningham's expectations for top-tier pay and the need to lock in Lexi Hull, the Fever's salary cap starts to feel suffocating. Right now, only Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and NaLyssa Smith are secured under their current deals.
It's a core 4, not a big 3. Lexi Hall is a part of the Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell core, and she needs to be treated as such. Here it says, given more transactions than ever will take place in a condensed period of time with players needing to be protected, signed, and drafted.
The front office is staring at a massive challenge. They need to re-sign and protect their core without bleeding talent or pushing themselves into financial trouble. Lexi Hull's situation only adds fuel to the tension. Reports point to her being sidelined and undervalued by the previous coaching staff, yet she kept showing up and delivering when the team needed stability. Hull is not a side piece. She belongs in the core alongside Clark, Boston, and Mitchell. If Indiana fails to prioritize her protection and fair compensation, it sends the wrong message. Disrespecting a player who has earned her role can quietly damage trust and morale. Add in the league's push for an earlier start date, clashing with Project B, and the Fever's list of problems keeps stacking up. No matter how the WNBA shifts its calendar, the conflict is coming. Even if the league pushes the season deeper into November, it still runs straight into Project B's schedule, where players like Kelsey Mitchell are already locked in. That puts the league at a crossroads. Either players are allowed to juggle overlapping commitments, which is not realistic long-term, or the WNBA starts demanding exclusivity in its contracts. That choice carries serious weight for player control and the future of women's basketball. As more players sign deals across multiple leagues, clashes are becoming unavoidable. With the WNBA trying to cash in on its surge in attention, pressure will grow for athletes to commit only to one league. If exclusivity becomes the standard, players will be forced to choose between the WNBA and other high-paying opportunities like Project B. That kind of restriction could push talent away, especially players focused on maximizing both income and playing time. It also risks breeding frustration among athletes who value flexibility and independence. Meanwhile, Indiana is stuck in an especially fragile spot. Looking ahead, the Fever only have Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Nalissa Smith under guaranteed contracts. That level of uncertainty is alarming for a team trying to build momentum. When that instability is paired with stalled CBA talks, the situation gets even more dangerous. Once the offseason freeze lifts, Indiana will have to re-sign most of its roster in a tight window. That kind of scramble leaves almost no margin for error and opens the door for other teams to swoop in and grab key pieces before the Fever can lock them down.
The WNBA goes to 54 games, but they start the season later, and it trickles on further into November, further down the line, and it interferes with Kelsey Mitchell's Project B contract. What happens? This is what I'm saying, man. This could get crazy. This could get absolutely crazy.
The WNBA's push for an earlier start date looks like a poor strategic move when it comes to player development and fan engagement. Shortening the offseason while overlapping with the NCAA calendar leaves incoming rookies with less time to prepare, adjust, and build momentum. It also weakens the impact of the draft, which is supposed to be a major moment for excitement and visibility. Rather than maximizing every chance to grow the game, the league appears to be creating conflicts that undercut the very players driving ratings. Indiana's situation gets even tougher when you factor in the growing demand from outside leagues like Project B, all chasing the same talent and money. This new landscape gives players more leverage than ever before. With more options on the table, athletes are no longer boxed into one path. If the WNBA adds more games while starting earlier, it risks pushing players toward leagues that offer better balance or financial security. That reality makes every Fever roster decision heavier and more vulnerable to mistakes that cannot be undone. The dragged-out CBA negotiations have triggered a chain reaction of issues for Indiana. Roster construction, contract talks, and long-term planning are all frozen. While the pause may be necessary at the league level, it leaves the Fever exposed. They cannot move with the market, cannot lock in key contributors, and cannot plan with confidence. The longer this stalemate lasts, the more likely Indiana is to be caught unprepared once things reopen. There is also growing chatter that the league's recent ratings surge leans heavily on Caitlin Clark's presence. While her impact is real, the irony is clear. League decisions and Indiana's struggle to retain talent could weaken the very momentum Clark helped create. If the roster around her is stripped down by bad timing or forced exits, the hype could fade fast. Star power alone does not hold up without a stable and competitive team. The Fever are now facing the real possibility of losing Sophie Cunningham, while also dealing with scheduling clashes tied to Kelsey Mitchell. These are not small problems. They are deep cracks forming in the foundation. If mishandled, they could stall progress before Clark's second season even tips off. The fallout could stretch for years, affecting chemistry, fan trust, and the long-term goal of building a true contender around a generational talent. At its core, Indiana's current mess reflects a major strategic failure, not just by the team, but possibly by the league. With global attention centered on Caitlin Clark, the priority should be stability and smart planning. Instead, the Fever are trapped in a storm of CBA delays, expansion pressure, draft uncertainty, and urgent retention battles. Fans are reacting strongly because they see a rare opportunity slipping away. What should have been a protected future now feels fragile, and that sense of loss is hitting just as the biggest star in the sport arrives. The most frustrating part for Fever fans is how avoidable this all feels. None of these problems appeared overnight. The warning signs were there, from CBA delays to expansion pressure to overlapping league commitments. Instead of getting ahead of it, Indiana waited, and now every decision feels reactive instead of strategic. When a franchise is forced to juggle loyalty, money, timing, and public perception all at once, mistakes multiply fast. What should have been a smooth build around Caitlin Clark has turned into a balancing act with real consequences, and the margin for error is already gone. At the center of it all is a simple truth: stability wins in this league. Teams that plan early, protect their assets, and respect player value are the ones that survive expansion, schedule chaos, and shifting power dynamics. Right now, Indiana does not look stable. They look stretched, boxed in, and vulnerable. Every unresolved contract and delayed decision makes it easier for outside teams to circle. Expansion franchises are watching closely. Rival leagues are waiting. And if Indiana hesitates again, the talent drain could happen quietly and all at once, leaving the rebuild unfinished. This situation did not have to spiral like this. The Indiana Fever were handed momentum, visibility, and a generational star, yet poor timing, league chaos, and questionable priorities turned promise into pressure. What should have been a clean launch into a new era now feels shaky, rushed, and unstable. Fans see it clearly. Opportunities like this do not come often, and when they are mishandled, the damage lasts. If you want to stay ahead of what happens next, the moves behind the scenes, and the real fallout no one else is breaking down, keep your eyes locked on Courtside Leaks, where the story never stops at the surface. We've got every angle covered, every leak, every backstage twist, every moment they won't show you. Hit like, subscribe, drop a comment, and share this video. Stay locked in with Courtside Leaks, your home for the truth behind the WNBA headlines.